Beverly Wilshire is a very luxurious hotel, the script says. And the hotel attendant is like, good evening, Mr. Lewis. Will you be needing the car anymore tonight? And Edward's like, hi, I hope not. Because he's like, I'm fucking tonight, And this is a chance for them to like part ways, like say goodbye and all this stuff. And she can't find a taxi because Vivian's going to wait to take the bus. And then Edward's like, I was thinking, did you really say $100 an hour? And she goes, yeah. And he goes, well, if you don't have any prior engagements, I'd be very pleased if you would accompany me into the hotel. And she goes, you got it. And they introduce their names to each other. And she goes, I'll tell you what this is. Fate, Edward. That's what this is. And he puts his jacket on her because they're walking into a fancy hotel. And, she looks, I think, amazing. But I guess at the Beverly Regent Wilshire in the 1990s, it would be weird.
Yeah, nowadays it's fine. But like, yeah, back then it would be like Julia Fox walking in. And like
she's blown away by this hotel too. She's like, holy shit. There's a roof. There's just all these kinds of things.
Yeah, she's freaking out. It's like you took somebody like an Amish person, like during like Rumspringa and like brought them to Vegas. She was like, like she's losing it in the most adorable way. But
Edward's at reception and he's like, can you send up some champagne and strawberries, please? Which I always do if I'm ever like a Days Inn or something like that. I'll just throw that out there as a smart ass. I'm like, please, a bottle of your finest. And it's like, of course, Mr. Lewis, of course. And then there's like a joke because she like all these couples are like, oh my God, who's this filthy whore in here? And she's like, oh, you know what happened? I got a runner in my pantyhose. And she's like bending over to show her gams and stuff. And this middle-aged couple's like horrified. They're horrified. And she goes, I'm not wearing pantyhose. Like and as a little kid, I was like, what the fuck? This is so erotic. I didn't even know what the word erotic meant, but I knew this was it, And she's very excited. He's like, first time in an elevator. And anyways, it's a cute thing where this elderly couple and the old guy's like, hubba hubba. And the other lady's like, close your mouth, dear. There's a lot of those kind of little funny dad jokes in there. Yeah,
because so like all the guys, they make sure like all the background people, like all the women are, like disgusted, and all the men are like, like wolves in a like, Looney Tunes like cartoon where they're like, blah, blah. Like where they're like eyes are bulging out and like their tongues are like rolling out like a stairs. Like
there is a bit of a technology joke here because they're in the penthouse and he's like, oh man. And he has a magnetic card and he's like, I miss keys, because this was the big shift to magnetic keys at hotels instead of keys. So this was a big technology joke where older people that were watching the movie goes, I feel you, Richard Gere. I do miss keys as well, because they used to give you a hotel key and now it's a card. So this was a very interesting movie for that reason as well.
All I could think about when he was like, I have the penthouse, and I was just like, I just kept thinking of like Luann and Tom when she's like, we have the penthouse. Oh, we got the penthouse.
Wouldn't be a young Countess Luann in this role would be great, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Remember,
this is very like, Countess Luann.
Like not like a lottery girl. Like, wasn't she like almost like a Vanna White, but in like Italy for like
Italy, yeah.
Like she had like that one-off episode where it was like an True Hollywood story, but of like Countess Luann, and it was like I just remember her having like some weird, like she was like a dealie and Deal or No Deal, but like.
Yeah, she's the only one Bravo did like a special just on Countess Luann of like before they were housewives. And I don't know why they didn't continue to do that, because to me, that was such a cool concept of like and Countess Luann's had such a batshit story. Like she, I think, posed as Sharon Stone at an award show and accepted an award as Sharon Stone, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not joking. Like that's in the documentary.
Now I need, oh my God, now that's going to be my second search after hamster dildo.
He found, Edward lets us know that he's scared of heights, and he's like, why are you on the penthouse if you're scared of heights? He's like, it's the best. I looked all around for penthouses on the first floor, but I can't find one. And she goes, well, now that you have me here, what are you going to do with me? And he goes, want to know something? I don't have a clue. And so she takes her jacket off and he takes his jacket off. And she goes, I'm not a planner. I would say I was kind of a fly by the seat of my pants girl, moment to moment. That's me. And so she's trying to break the ice. And he goes, you know what? Why don't you pay me? And he's like, oh yeah, I assume cash is acceptable. And she goes, yeah, cash works for me. And then this is another technology joke, you guys. He's looking for his money and it's on his desk. And he goes, you're on my fax. And for a fax machine, you guys, for those you used to fax messages from one fax machine to another. And so
or if you're my dad, still did it up till 2 years ago when our vet's office banned RJ from coming in and using the fax machine.
Oh yeah, I remember that story. I could see RJ as a Richard Gere type character. I could see this. I could see RJ. This would be a good role for RJ. Anyways, and she goes, well, that's one I haven't been on before. She's like, I've been on dick, but I haven't been on a fax machine. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the joke there. And then all of a sudden she whips out condoms. She's like, all right, here we go. Pick one. I got red. I got green. I got yellow. I'm out of purple, but I do have one gold circle coin left. The condom of champions, the one and only. Nothing's getting through this sucker. What do you say? And she goes, a buffet of safety. And she goes, I'm a safety girl. And that's a great message. Like, honestly, that's a really, but it's also funny. Like, it's like, you know, deal or no deal. And then Edward's like, can we just talk for can we just talk for a little bit? Which I'm assuming he's having
was it weird for you to see like condoms where you're like, oh, there are different condoms just besides the ones that you can get at U2 concerts that, you know, prevent AIDS.
I was also, what are these things called? Condoms? Is it condom? How do you say this? I will say, like, this is funny. It is another condom story. One time I found a Magnum condom on a street unopened and I took it and I just,
Why?
don't worry, I never used it, but I just wanted it around.
Well, that's obvious. Ryan, I never once was like, when I heard you start the story of like, oh, I'm sure Ryan used that immediately. That was never where
I put it over my head like Howie Mandel and I did funny joke. No, but I always like wanted to like, cause then I'd be like, oh, you know, and then like, I think I carried in my back, like I did like carrot top jokes of it. Like, oh, don't mind my Magnum.
You were doing
you know what I'm saying?
Work. You were doing condom prop work.
Yeah. Don't mind this Magnum for my huge dong. Sorry if I'm walking funny. I'm carrying around this huge Magnum condom. Anyways, they're chit-chatting. He's obviously can't get it up, I think, because he's like nervous. And then they start pouring the champagne. A room service comes in and it's cute. They got a good vibe going, but it's not, there's like, you can tell sexy time is like, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And Vivian's like, you have a wife, girlfriend? He's like, I have both. And she goes, where are they, shopping together? And he's like, my ex-wife is now in Long Island in my ex-home with my ex-dog. And my ex-girlfriend,
I want to know more about the dog. I thought the dog would come back. I thought the dog would come into play like later, like in some type of.
You like truly thought that the dog was going to come into play? You thought the dog was going to fly down?
No, not that way. No, not like he was going to switch out the gerbil for the dog. No, that like, I don't know, that he was going to talk more about the dog.
Old Rusty. I wish old Rusty was here to help me get this condom on.
But I thought that he would talk more about the dog.
Well, we were all really disappointed about the dog
I was going to say, I'm like, it really.
And then Vivian goes, hey, listen, I appreciate this whole seduction scene you got going, but let me give you a tip. I'm a sure thing, okay? So I'm on an hourly rate. Can we just move it along? And he's like, I'm sensing this time problem is a major issue. He's like, why don't we just get through that right now? And so he's like, how much for the entire night? She's like, stay here? You couldn't afford it. He goes, try me. She goes, $300. And he goes, done. Thank you. Now we can relax.
Which I dropped out of Tallahassee Community College. But I'm like, you're $100 for an hour. But then he's like, she's like, you know, to stay the whole night, $300. I'm like, baby girl, no, you're just, why?
We don't know how late in the night that this might be 4 a.m. We don't know. Like this could be really late. Like the night might only last
I'm like,
over.
fucking look around. The champagne he just ordered is more than what you're charging him for the entire night.
Nobody said she's brilliant. She's just charming. She's like got a heart of gold, you know? And so she's like, are you sure you want me to stay for the entire night? I could just pop you good and be on my way. That's the, and he goes, to tell you the truth, I don't feel like being alone tonight. And she's like, okay, so what do you want me to do? And he doesn't answer. And then all of a sudden, he's like, I don't know. I really don't know. And she goes into the bathroom, comes back out, and she's like doing something. It's like, what is it? What? Hey, What do you have in there? What do you have? What are you hiding? Because he thinks she has drugs. And he goes, nothing. He goes, all right, look, I don't want any drugs here. I don't want any of this. Get your things and your money and please leave. And she goes, I don't do drugs, all right? I stopped doing drugs when I was 14. He goes, what is this then? What is this? And he goes, and it's dental floss. She's fucking smoking dental floss. She's like doing dental floss. No, but she's like a safety girl and she's also like a good hygiene girl. And then he's embarrassed because he's like, oh shit, because he probably doesn't even floss. He's like, oh no, now I feel guilty.
That was when you were like, do you think this like really changed it for, like sex workers? Like when this came out of like, oh God, were they thinking they were going to find their Richard Gere? Like, I don't know. If I was a sex worker during that time, I'm like, I have to fucking start flossing. No, this movie is terrible. Like, I am not going to start doing this.
The funny thing is, you guys, they don't really end up even having sex. They end up, and this is actually where Annabelle can really kind of fill us in with a lot of things. They end up watching an old episode of I Love Lucy and she's loving it. But it also reminded me of the time that you needed to have the TV show Greek on when that dude was making love with you. You'd make a deal where you'd be like, put that when you would have that deal where you like put the show Greek on and you'd watch it where you let him like poke around and stuff like that. That's what this scene reminded me of, except that they're not having sex. They're just literally both watching the show. Right.
Yeah. And it's just,
okay.
I was like, wow, this is really smart. And then it's like, she didn't notice she is a professional. She didn't turn it off. She just put it on mute. And I'm like, she's a smart girl.
Yeah. So they're like, but
before she started playing Peter Possum, which is what I did once I stopped wanting to have sex with him, where then I would just
called Peter Possum.
Did you ever go to a place called Pita Pit?
Oh yeah, or Peter Jungle, maybe. Peter Jungle?
There was a place like the biggest, like in Tallahassee. There was a thing called like Pita Pit, and so we'd go all the time. That was like my favorite place, and that was like also one of the only places that he could afford, even though I would like always buy it anyways. But it didn't matter. But like towards the end, once like the Greek wasn't working anymore, I was just, and I'm like a child, like in my eating schedule. It's like after I eat, like I have a good maybe 45 minutes before I need to take a nap. Like I can't eat at work, like because I will fall asleep. Like, so I have good 45 minutes and then I'm out. And so he knew that. And so he's like, okay, if we go to like Pita Pit, like you're not going to fall asleep after, right? I'm like, no. And so like we'd be driving and he's like, you're not going to fall asleep, right? I'm like, no, I am like wide awake. Trust me. It's like, I just had coffee. I'm like not going to fall asleep. And so he's like, all right, well, like, so he'd be like driving like fucking Fast and Furious, trying to get to like his shitty, like a shitty apartment with like all his roommates to like see it, to like try to have sex. And like by the time we got there and I was just like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not gonna fall asleep. And he's like, okay, I have to go to the bathroom. So then I would get on the bed and I would like roll over and I would pretend to be asleep and I'd be like because like he would just be like, babe, wake up, babe, you're not asleep. Wake up, because I knew like he couldn't do anything. And so like then I would just sit there and pretend to be asleep. And then I called it Peter Possum.
Wow. That's a deleted scene from Pretty Woman. Anyway, wow. I gotta sit with that for a second.
There's a time where I did see if I was trying to see if tequila really brought out the taste of my Josie Cuervo.
I'm gonna keep talking about the movie, but I'm gonna think about what you just said throughout it. Anyways, he's doing business too. He's like on the phone with like London and she's watching and has like a little mini picnic, but then they're finally like, let's get down to humping. And she's like, what do you want? He's like, what do you do? And she goes, everything, but I don't kiss on the mouth. And he goes, neither do I. And I was like, whoa.
Which I also wanted to be like, I get why she doesn't, but like, why don't you? Like, what's going on with you?
Yeah. Well, there's tons going on with him, obviously.
Well, also you're just like, you don't kiss on the mouth. How do you feel about small rodents?
Shut up. And so it's the next day. We're at the hotel still. The attendant is like saying good morning to like all the attendants, blah blah blah. Chambermaid is cleaning some leather chairs.
He ordered everything off the menu. That was
that was a big thing. Yeah. That to me is like Ladywood. I'd been like, oh, I don't care about getting a pillow. Think about how hard you would sleep. You would sleep for days if you had.
Oh, that is like, to me, that is the sexiest thing ever. If I came out and he's like, I didn't know what you liked, so I, took the liberty of ordering everything off the menu for you. And I was just like, oh no, that to me is like like that's that to me is my boner like alert.
Yeah.
That to me is like my Bailey boner jams.
I took the liberty of ordering everything on the menu. And he's like, I didn't know what you'd like. And that's, by the way, that's more than $300 right there. You know what I'm like? I mean, I'm sure
easily like
if I was her, I'd be like, just give me the fucking money next time. I'll go get a McDonald's sandwich or something. Are you kidding me? Like, just give me a cup of coffee and give me the money. But anyways, they're still like, he's working already and like all this shit. He doesn't really sleep a lot, but he slept on the couch. He didn't even sleep with her. Like he was a gentleman.
But they definitely like fucked, right? Don't you think that they?
That's what they hinted at. Yeah.
Okay.
No, they hinted at that, but this is it's a R-rated Disney movie, but there's not like really anything nowadays. This would not have been rated R, I don't think.
I'm just saying, like, I really don't feel like it does not really earn its like R rating. Like they like say fuck a few times, but like there's no like nudity in it, which is a bummer.
Yeah, I was like, where the fuck is the nudity?
Howard the Duck has nudity. How is there more like fucking and like sucking in Howard the Duck?
But you know what? Did you watch it all of a sudden? You know what I will say though is that there is an eroticism to this movie. I remember as a kid though, even though it didn't have nudity, Julia Roberts, and I think this is the only time I felt this way, is incredibly sexy in this movie. But now that I found out she was 21, I feel really bad for saying that. But when I found her attractive, I was way younger than 21.
You're like, when I found out, she was 21, you're like, I was very turned off. I thought she was 18 during this, so I was very turned on. But then when I found out she was,
you thought 21, she was 18?
No, I was making fun of you.
Okay. I was like, yeah, no, I now feel, I don't know. I'm all confused. Anyways,
it's not like you're like, you're saying a completely like legal thing. Like she's 21 during it. You were like in high school, like sneaking in watching it. So it's different.
I wasn't in high school. I was I think I was in junior high. I was 7th grade, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So what?
Well, I remember
weird.
We snuck into this movie, R-rated movie. I'm nervous I'm going to get busted the whole time. We're at Olathe Landing in Olathe, Kansas. And we're with like,
I would have loved it if you were busted, like doing like a Paul Rubens. Like,
oh, dude, there was because this was the first time that I snuck in and stayed, because I'd always sneak in and then I'd get nervous I was gonna get busted, and then I would be like, oh, I went out, and then they were like checking tickets or something, and I'd go into like the PG movie because I was scared of getting busted. And this, I stayed the whole time, and I remember I'm trying to remember the girl's name, but at the end when she's driving in the limo and the Roxette song's playing, like it must have been love, but it's over now. I remember this girl, like was bawling. I mean, she like, we're 7th graders. She's like, I mean, just like choking on this. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? Like, you're drawing attention to us. She thought it, like she was hyperventilating, sobbing. And I thought it was a beautiful movie, but I was nowhere near tears, you know? Did you cry today when you watched it?
No. If he would have talked about the dog more, probably, but I didn't get any animal action. So no.
To speed it up a little bit, because there is some like a lot of repetitive, they're really cute. Also, he's doing a deal for $1 billion where he's going to take this old man's company and kind of like destroy it piece by piece. It's really boring. And that's where the Jason Alexander lawyer character comes in of like, come on, man, we got to get this guy. And at the end, just spoiler alert, he's like, I want to buy your company, but I don't want to destroy it anymore. You got a good thing going. Like that's, he actually ends up doing the right thing. And that's why like the Jason Alexander lawyer is like pissed. It's like, how dare you? So that's that storyline that keeps popping in. But the business aspect of this did nothing for me really as a kid. I was like, I don't care. Let's get back to that prostitute,
Yeah, no, it's like the business stuff on Yellowstone where I'm like, I don't care about your legal jargon. I don't care. Like, none of this matters to me. Like, I fast forward through all of that.
Let's go. I want to see Rip dig up his old mom again. Yeah.
It was so sweet.
So this is like, we eventually get to the scene where Vivian's singing Kiss, like, I just want your extra time. And this was such a big scene in movie. Like she was just exuded charm. Now, of course, in those things that I told you before, supposedly she went underwater and the whole crew left the whole state of California, and she came up 8 years later and they were like, oh, and one guy captured her reaction. Just complete bullshit. and he's like, but anyways, she notices her singing. She's adorable. The world's falling in love with her. And God, she really does sing like the whole song as I'm going through this. It's like it keeps going, keeps going. And Vivian's like, don't you just love Prince? And he's like, more than life itself. And she goes, don't you knock? And he's like, Vivian, I have a business proposition for you. And she's like, what do you want? I'm going to be in town until Sunday. I'd like you to spend the week with me. And Vivian smiles, not believing what she just heard. And she's like, really? And he goes, yes, I'd like to hire you as an employee. Would you consider spending the week with me? And she laughs awkwardly. And he goes, I'll pay you to be at my beck and call. And she goes, look, I'd love to be your beck and call girl, but you're a rich, good looking guy. You could get 1 million girls free. And that's where the movie ends. No, I'm joking. And Edward's like, you
call girl was so clever.
It's very cute. And Edward's like, wait, you think I'm good looking? Like, no, he goes, I want a professional. I don't need any romantic hassles this week. And she goes, if you're talking 24 hours a day, it's going to cost you. And he goes, oh yes, of course. Here we go. Give me a ballpark figure. How much? And she goes, 6 full nights, days 2, 4,000. This girl like sucks at math. Like it's now, I feel like this might be a little too much. I don't know. It's all over the park. And he goes, 6 nights at 300 is 1,800. And she goes, you want days too? And he goes, 2,000. She goes, 3,000. He goes, done. And she goes, holy shit. Like 3,000 back then was like 1990s money. That's like 5,000 today. I don't know. It's like a lot. It's like, but it's a lot of money. Like they can finally pay their rent. And she's got that whole situation with her roommate.
I think I saw like on the like trivia facts or whatever, because like God knows I wouldn't be able to fucking do that. I'm not a mathlete. I wouldn't be able to fucking do this math. But yes, like it was like broken down into like how much it was, and it was like when like she agrees to like the 3,000 and it's like for 6 days, and it's like it said like that's effectively lowering her rate from $100 an hour to $21 an hour. And I was
that's how good of a businessman Richard Gere is, though. Like he knows, like this is why he's good,
such a fucking capitalist of just like, no, I can get this girl to the absolute like bare. I mean, still that's better than minimum wage.
Do you think Donald Trump was like this with Stormy Daniels? Was this like a similar thing? Do you think happened? Like went to like, like you hired, you fired.
I don't know how much it was for piss play. I don't know. Like how much would you charge?
Okay, I can already feel. How dare you bring up my favorite president and
Ryan? If somebody
adult film star,
if you were an American Gigolo, which we do one day have to do a recap of an episode of Gigolo.
I thought you meant American Gigolo. The other Richard, there's a Richard Gere movie called American
Gigolo. That he's in with Hector Alessandro, who is I'm like, honestly, I think she
Elizondo, not Alessandro.
And then like, oh, is that too? I don't know. The guy from Princess Diaries, the cute one.
Yeah. I've never seen American Gigolo.
Well, neither have I. No, I'm sure that doesn't surprise you. But
okay, but anyways, sorry.
Go on.
No, I was just saying. The thing is, she makes this deal for 3,000, but then he's like, you know what? I need you to also go buy some clothes. So I'm like, is this in addition to the 3,000 or do the clothes
or is it taking it out of the 3,000?
That's what I was wondering too. Cause like, I wonder if it's like the music industry where he's like, okay, she's like, time to pay up at the end of the week. And he's like, well, it looks like you owe me $2,000 because you ate here, and here. I bought you all of these outfits. And so minus the 3,000 I owed you, you still owe me 3,000 on top of that. And then that's when it gets into a racketeering. It's a whole thing. But he's like, yeah, we're going to go out some evenings. You'll need something to wear. And she's like what? And he's like, I don't know, nothing too flashy, not too sexy. And so that's another girl's dream, I think, is just to be given carte blanche. By the way, that's why a lot of Hollywood dudes in particular, and just rich older dudes, they always end up with like 25-year-old girls because they really buy their affection in a certain, not like in a prostitution way, but there is a type of girl that really does look to men to just for like shopping sprees, and men look for arm candy, right?
Oh yeah, that's like my favorite. I mean, like the love languages of like, like what's your love language? And then it's like, well, I guess this could go for both of like, there's like acts of service, quality time, gifts, and then words of affirmation or words of admiration, and physical touch. And I'm fluent in all of those except like physical touch and quality time. I don't want to do that, but I would like gifts and, you know, words of affirmation. But yeah, it's like, who doesn't want, like clothes and gifts? Like,
Yeah.
I desperately want, I've never gotten that, but yes, that is definitely one of my Hollywood dreams.
Dude, my dream is to be sponsored, like, and I joke, but like Old Navy, or like, I would love to be sponsored by somebody that would just give me clothes to dress in and tell me which clothes to wear where. Like, that's my dream. Like, and that's not even a joke. Like, I want to be rich enough one day to have but like a medium budget stylist, not somebody that like, here's Gucci and all that. Like, I want somebody, and it's like really sad. I was watching that Jonah Hill movie the other day and I was like, oh fuck, I actually genuinely want to dress like Jonah Hill. Like, that's genuinely what I want to dress like.
There, you right now dress like Adam Sandler. So
yeah, I mean, that's true. No, by the way, no hate, but I'm saying like, I'd like to go a step up. You know, like I dress not like Adam Sandler out of necessity, but also I am cheap. So it's like, there's a lot of things at play there. Anywho, but this is not about me. So she goes, baby, I'm going to treat you so right. You're never going to let me go. And he goes, 3,000 for 6 days. And Vivian, I will let you go. And she goes, but I'm here now. And then she laughs and screams because she's rich. And she goes, $3,000, which was the original title of the film, $3,000, but it was a gritty Coke movie. So Kit, the roommate, Vivian calls Kit. She's like, I called, where were you last night? And she's like, and Kit's like, Ma? And he's like, it's Viv. And she's like, oh, hi, I had to party. Where are you? She goes, are you ready for this? The guy, the Lotus, I'm at his hotel room in Beverly Hills, the penthouse. His bathroom is bigger than the Blue Banana. And she's like, oh, do I have to hear this? And he's like, Kit, he wants me to stay the whole week. And you know what he's going to give me? And she's like, $3,000. And Kit's like, bullshit. And I swear to God, and extra money to buy clothes. So I guess that answers our question there. And she goes, oh man, I'm bummed. I gave that guy to you. But the movie wouldn't be like that if she had him. You know what I'm saying? Julia Roberts.
Yeah, I don't feel like Richard Gere, like he wouldn't have put up with like Kit's antics for like, she has too much of like a sass mouth, which is like why like I will never do well with like with old men, is because like they don't like sass. Like like a very good example was like Ryan's Patreon, like where we talk about like I think that people will find me like charming and I don't know why I still think that, because time and time again, for years and years, I have been proven wrong. So I don't know when like I'm finally gonna get being like, oh, people don't enjoy this. But yeah, like old people, yeah, like old men like don't like sass mouth. Like feel like Kitten has too much.
So, yeah, he's like, turn over, sass mouth. I don't want to see your face anymore. Anyway, so Kit's all jealous, and so now she's going to shop, and but she also meets the hotel manager that you're in love with. Is that Barney? Paused. What's that?
Oh no, it just for some reason you just paused. Okay.
I'm saying Barney is the manager, right? That you love. Yeah. So we meet Barney and she's like, hello, where, I'm going shopping, blah, blah, blah. And we go on Rodeo Drive and she's shopping. It's like kind of a shopping montage. Vivian stops near jewel shops and there's like a music playing over. She goes into this boutique. She's looking around and the music fades out and the saleswoman's like, may I help you? And Vivian's like, well, I'm just checking some things out. Are you looking for something in particular? And she's like, something conservative. Yes. And she goes, you got nice stuff. And the saleswoman goes, thank you. How much is this? I don't think this would fit you. And she goes, well, I didn't ask it would fit me. I asked how much it was. And she turns to the other saleswoman and the other is like, how much is this, Marie? It's very expensive. It's very expensive. And she goes, look, I got money to spend in here. And the saleswoman's like, I don't think we have anything for you. You're obviously in the wrong place. Please leave.
Yeah, it's like older. It's like old lady, like plastics, like shop, and they're like, you can't shop, like you can't sit with us. You can't shop with us. Please leave. Like it was they were not. Which is so ironic because like they're just working there when I'm sure they don't live in Beverly Hills. I'm sure they're like having to like drive in from the fucking valley, but it's.
And she goes. Yeah, it's really but nowadays I just feel like with all the TikTokers and all that stuff.
I was gonna say now it's like if you came in, it's like now they have more money than most like then a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm a business person who went to Harvard and now I'm dying fucking student loans for the rest of my life. And it's like, if you have somebody coming in from OnlyFans, no, that's when you shut down the store and they're like, get the champagne out, get the pizza out, get the gerbils out, whatever this woman wants.
Yeah. Film content in here, film content. Yeah. And so Julia Roberts is all dejected, goes back to the hotel, doesn't have the key. She's like starting to like lose, and Barney is like, miss, you know, and like, it's a whole deal that she can't get in, and you can tell she's just had a really bad day. And she's like, what is it with everybody today? And Barney's like, it's all right, just come with me, we'll have a little chat. Thank you. And Vivian's like, come in. She's like, what's your name, miss? And she's like, what do you want it to be? And he goes, don't play with me, young lady. And she's like, Vivian. Thank you, Vivian. Well, Miss Vivian, the things that go on in other hotels don't happen at Regent Beverly Wilshire. Now, Mr. Lewis, however, is a very special customer. That's Richard Gere. And we like to think our
That's Richard Lewis. He's a very special customer.
Now, as a customer, we would expect Mr. Lewis to sign in any additional guests, but as a friend, we're willing to overlook it. Now, I'm assuming that you're a relative. And she's like, yes, I thought so, that you must be his niece. And he's, of course, naturally, when Mr. Lewis leaves, I won't see you in this hotel again. I assume you have no other uncles here. And she shakes her head. He's like, good, then we understand each other. I would also encourage you to dress a little more appropriately. That'll be all. And she goes, no, that's not all. That's what I was trying to do. I tried to go get a dress on Rodeo Drive today, and the woman wouldn't help me. And I have all this money now and no dress. Now that I expect you to help me, but I have all of this, okay? I have to buy a dress for dinner tonight. Nobody will help me.
And she takes out like all this crumpled money. It's like, it's like all balled up. Like, yeah. She's like, here, I brought all this money.
And he's like, oh man, if you're calling the cops, call the cops. That's great. And then Barney's like, women's clothing. And she's like, Bridget, please. Yes, Bridget. Hello, this is Bernard Thompson here at the Regent Beverly Wilshire. I'd like you to do a favor for me, please. I'm sending someone over. Her name is Vivian. She's a special guest. She's the niece of a very special guest. So he set her up with like to be able to get personally shop for. So it's awesome.
Because he's a true, like this, like he is a true ally to like bushy eyebrowed, like women, like who feel like out of place. Like in Princess Diaries, like he is a true, like he is a gentleman and a scholar. I love him.
Yeah.
I wish she had ended up with him second.
So now there's a big business scene, and we're going to skip completely over that. It's what I was just telling you about this company and blah, 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 blah.
It's like chart stocks, numbers, like buy, sell low, buy high.
Go listen to a business podcast if you want that story. We're going back to the shopping.
Bitcoin, you know, nobody cares.
So Bridget is like, hello, you must be Vivian. My name's Bridget. And Vivian's like, hi, Barney said you'd be nice to me. And they both laugh. And Bridget's like, he's very sweet. What are your plans while you're in town? And she's like, anal. And she's like, no, that's not. This is 1990. That didn't get invented until 1998. And Vivian's like, we're going to have dinner. And Bridget's like, oh, don't sit on there, dear. Because she's sitting on the counter. And she's like, you're going out dinner. Well, you need a cocktail dress then. Come with me. And this is when we get like a whole like kind of clothing montage. It's really
And she
cute.
like confides in Bridget because she's just like, Bridget, he's not really my uncle. And she's like, they never are, dear.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute.
And I thought it was like also the most perfect thing to say, like when she was like, yeah, he's my uncle. Cause it's like uncles are inherently creepy. Like if anyone starts like a story with like, oh, one time my uncle, and I'm like, always in my head, I'm like preparing for some like Forrest Gump, like Jenny story of like, ugh, like normally uncle stories.
You're my girl, Jenny. Yeah. Jenny. You're my
uncles
girl,
are creepy.
Jenny.
And not like good creepy, not like Uncle Fester creepy. Like
he's just so smart, Jenny. Sorry, dude. You died on a Tuesday. Oh. We were shrimping. So anyways, what shitty thing was I watching the other day? And it was like, I like my something. It was like a Bubba Gump shrimp show. Anyways, so Barney, the manager, she's like, I got a dress. And he's like, well, I'd rather hope you'd be wearing it. And she's like, no, I don't want to get it all messed up. Listen, I got shoes too. You want to see? He's like, that won't be necessary. I'm sure they're quite lovely, but it's charming. They're starting to build a rapport, Barney and Vivian. And so then Edward's at work and he's like calling her and he's like, hello. And Edward's like, never pick up the phone. And she's like, why are you calling me then? And she's like, I got a dress, a cocktail one. He's like, that's good. I'll be in the hotel lobby, 7:45 sharp. And she's like, you're not coming to the door. This isn't a date. It's business. And she's like, where are you taking me anyways? I'm taking you to a restaurant called the Voltaire. very elegant. And she's like, all right, I'll meet you in the lobby, but only because you're paying me to. And he's like, thank you very much. And then she puts the phone down and smiles. And then he's like, get her back for me, please.
Yeah, he
And
hangs
then
up
calls-
and then he tells the secretary, like, call her back, get her back for me.
Yeah. And then she's like, hello. And he's like, I told you not to pick up the phone, but it's cutesy now. It's like
Because
cute.
now they're
but
doing
it's all-
bits. Like now they have
Yeah.
now they're doing bits, which is
Yeah. It's a cute bit. I was like, oh, this is fun. It's a fun bit for a billionaire and all that stuff. So Vivian's like, Barney, it didn't fit. She's like, no, I got a little problem. And she doesn't know how to use silverware, you guys. And
it's because because the movie Titanic hasn't come out yet. So she hasn't been able to even go down on a guy in the movie theater while Titanic plays and be able to learn from the unsinkable Molly Brown when she teaches Jack about the silverware, how you work your way, you work your way in, which is how I learned about silverware.
Are you talking about the movie Titanic?
Yes, Titanic.
Titanic? Yes. Okay. So anyways, now Barney's like, all right, Miss Vivian, one more time, dinner napkin. You lay it gently on your lap. And she's like, good, elbows at the table, don't slouch, shrimp fork, salad fork, dinner fork. And anyway, so like she's teaching her all this stuff. And he's like, if you get nervous, just count the times.
There's, isn't it like 4 is salad? No, 4 is dinner.
Oh, the time, okay. I didn't know they called it times.
The little, the dingle hopper. On the dingle hopper.
Why don't they call it just dingle hopper then?
They should.
So Barney's like, pardon me, Mr. Lewis.
You know what I'm saying when I say dingle hopper, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I do. She's like, I'm Mr. Thompson. I'm the manager of this hotel. And sir, I have a message for you, sir. And from your niece, sir. She's like, my what? The young lady who's staying with you in your room, sir. And he's like, oh, huh. I think we both know that she's not my niece. And Barney's like, of course. And he's like, the reason I know that is that I am an only child. And he goes, yes, sir. And he's like, what's the message? Well, she's waiting for you in the lounge. Intriguing young lady, Miss Vivian. And he goes, intriguing. Have a good evening, sir. And so he now goes to get her. And she, you guys, is stunning, right? She looks pretty. Very elegant.
She looks very elegant. Her hair, she looks like she's like in a period piece, like in an old timey like salute. Like she looks like she's from a different time.
What are you coming around here for?
Yeah, son? Like a Mae West type of like. She looks great. It's like with the collar, like with the choker collar, and then like the off the shoulder. Like those times like where you used to be able to like take pictures like at a theme park and you'd be able to like, I'm dressed like an old timey sheriff and like in different like photo booths or whatever. It looks like she's in like one of those.
Yeah. But I still think she looks amazing. I think she looks amazing. So they go out to dinner. We meet the father and son that he's taken the company over. And it's a cute little dinner scene. But it's also, there's business going on, and David Morse is like, between your public statements and the rumors flying around on this thing, we find it very hard to figure out what your real intentions are. And the older guy's like, I don't know about you, but I've never been able to figure out which goes with what. Oh, she's talking to Vivian because they're having a cute.
She's freaking out because she's like, where's the salad? Because they don't bring her salad.
Yeah, she's charming everybody though. She's charming, like this like she's charming the pants off all these billionaires. Not literally, but they're all just like really like she's just a bright shining light, you guys. And this is escargot. She doesn't even know what escargot is. And Edward's like, it's French for snails. It's a delicacy. Try it. They're just laughing about escargot is like, it's fine, right? Like, it's fine. It's like, it's rich.
Have you ever eaten it?
I have. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, I've never eaten it.
You like it? Oh,
no,
it's
I've
fine.
never eaten it.
It's like, I don't have like a sophisticated palate, obviously, but I'm just like, it's fine. Like, it's not worth the price.
Where am I going that I would have eaten? Like, I would never, I like restaurants where if I want pictures of the food on the menu, like they don't serve escargot at Rainforest Cafe. I'm not interested. No, thank you.
But you guys, she has a funny bit with this escargot and one just slips away from the pinchers and she goes, slippery little suckers. And I laughed. I have to tell you, I just laughed. No, but it really was very charming.
What I think is adorable, the old man who catches it and he's like, oh, it happens all the time. Then Gary Marshall cast him in the Princess Diaries and it's the same bit where Anne Hathaway like like slip something out, like out of it, and he catches it, and he says the same
I love
thing of
that.
like happens all the time. And then he's in the Princess Diaries too, and it's
I
the
love
same.
that.
And I thought it was so cute. It's like an adorable, like not creepy, alt-right
Yeah,
Rob
Gary
Schneider
Marshall.
appearing
Gary
in
Marshall.
movies. The same
Yeah,
thing.
Gary Marshall would work. Gary Marshall would work with a lot of the same actors, like in movie after movie, like Hector Elizondo. Barney was in so many of his movies, like we said before. Which, by the way, Gary Marshall also directed a little scene movie called Frankie and Johnny with Al Pacino and Michelle Pfeiffer. That was one of my favorites as a kid. I was a weird kid. Like, this is a movie about a guy getting out of prison and becoming a short order chef, and she meets this down on his luck waitress, Michelle Pfeiffer, who is supposed to be kind of like just subpar looking, but it's Michelle Pfeiffer just without makeup. But it's actually, she's amazing in it. It's just the fact that it's like Michelle Pfeiffer and Al Pacino's like, hooah, I love you. Why can't you see I love you? Ha.
Al Pacino was, it said like one of the actors considered for this part, and he said like it was too close from, I guess, because Scarface just came out. So I was just trying to think, because I was like, oh, I wonder if Ryan saw that like trivia, and then I was trying to think of like, I wanted to see, I was like, oh, then I know Ryan will do his Al Pacino of some of the Richard Gere lines.
I don't care. I don't kiss on the mouth either. Ha! 3,000. Hooah! Yeah. I'll tell you what, you take off those pants right there. I'll order everything on the menu for you. Hooah! Anyways, there's like business happening at the table. It gets a little heated. They walk off, and the son's like, watch out, Louis, I'm going to tear you apart. He's like, I look forward to it, sir. I mean, the older man said that to him. And so Vivian's like, he seems like a nice man. And Edward's like, I guess $3,000 does not buy loyalty, does it? Because she's kind of like siding with the old man, like, hey, he's like a nice guy. And he's like, listen, shut it, prostitute, And he goes, I just mean, it's sweet the way he's crazy about his grandson, because his grandson's part of the business too. And Edward, but this is how charming she is. She's making rich people rethink how they do business. Like it's like putting more heart into it. In fact, I think it would be funny if we did see a sequel where Edward lost all his money because he became too nice because of Julia Roberts. Like he gave away his fortune, and she's like,
when she's like, I really think this sweet man, Bernie Madoff, I think he's adorable.
And then she had to go back to like being a lady of the night, to like actually get money again. Like it would be a whole, anyways. So they're, they have the dinner, blah, blah, blah. And like, there's like a ketchup joke in here. And that's like, déclassé. Then we go back. Ketchup could be the meal. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know that's just,
I've eaten ketchup I'm like, ketchup is like peanut butter meat. Where I'm like,
well, I wouldn't.
Ketchup.
Let's stop though. I wouldn't go that. I've not just eaten ketchup, but I just really love it. I love to
Well, then you're right. You're not a foodie because you don't know. You don't have a sophisticated palate.
Me on Top Chef, I always just like, give me a thing of Heinz, and then I just always shove it on the plate. There's nothing else.
A piece of bread, like a piece of white bread and ketchup. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm good.
And Tom Colicchio's like, this is so daring. Is this just ketchup? It's like Restaurant Wars. Ryan, I see that you've done ketchup again. Yes, I did. I put it on a warmer plate this time, so it's a little more heated than my normal ketchup. And it's like, you're a very daring chef. And I'm like, thank you, chef. So now they're on the terrace, and remember, he's scared of heights, blah, blah, blah. She's helping him talk business. It's like, whatever. And he's like, would you rescue me if I fell? Vivian says. And she's like, Vivian, please, I'm serious. Come back from, he's like, I'm not looking. He's really scared of heights.
And she's on the balcony. She's like, well, look, no hands. Woo, I'm leaning back.
Which is funny. It's funny because at the end, there is like a little thing of Richard Gere facing his fear of heights, which I think is funny. Anyways, so they're talking.
Also, the guy was like, I'm afraid of heights. I paid for the penthouse, but I can't look over him. I'm like, you're a fucking pusswad.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's probably, yeah. It's probably why
that's also one of the reasons I wouldn't be picked up by like a rich old guy. And I'm just like, you're a pussy. You can't even look over the balcony, and they're like, please leave.
Edward says, I will not let myself become emotionally involved in a business. And Vivian's like, I know. Kit's always saying to me, don't get emotional when you turn tricks. That's why no kissing. It's too personal. It's like what you're saying. You stay numb. You don't get involved. When I'm with a guy, I'm like a robot. I just do it. I mean, except with you. And he's like, of course not with me. You and I are such similar creatures, Vivian. We both screw people for money. And then they talk about his dad dying. It's a real bummer. It's a real.
Oh,
bummer.
see, that's when I would start. That's when I'd be like, actually, I'm charging you more right now. That would be the shit that I pay. That I
listen.
If
you want to put your dick in me, that's fine. But if I
if you want me to piss on you, that's
you? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not listening to some fucking sob story. No,
He's
the
like,
price went up to 5,000.
Vivian, I can't piss on you from this height. I'm scared of heights. I gotta pee closer to you. So they're like, let's veg out in front of the TV and watch old movies, Vivian says. And Edward's like, veg out? And she's like, yeah, be still like vegetables, lay like broccoli.
You know what would have been perfect? That's when Christopher Reeve's casting would really have been great.
Lay like what? Al Pacino, you mean? Or what?
No, it's a really dumb joke when she was like, let's just veg out, and he said like, lay on the ground like vegetables. And I said, that's when the Christopher Reeves casting would have really worked out.
That's too far. He's a natural treasure. Are you kidding me?
He is. I'm
Rest
not saying he's not.
Oh my goodness. So they're watching.
It was a riding accident.
They're watching this old movie, and it's like a romantic movie or whatever. I'm trying to wait. What is this? Robin is revealing Dennis, the elevator attendant. What is happening here? I don't know. Oh, yeah. She wakes up and Richard Gere's not there anymore, and Edward's playing the piano downstairs.
Yeah, he's like fucking doing a David Foster. He's taking out all his all his feelings on this piano. And
do you like lemon? I'm sorry, I'm doing.
Don't talk while my husband's singing. Genius.
I've got the. So it's like I squeeze lemon.
He is playing for these poor fucking custodial workers. It's 3 a.m. and they're having to listen to this fucking rich asshole like play on the piano.
I wish it was dun 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 dun. Dun, dun, like they're big. Like I wish it was like something really basic. Dun, 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 dun. Like instead it's like jazz piano. And she's like, oh, I didn't know you play. He's like, I only play for strangers. And she's like, I was getting lonely upstairs all by myself. And he goes, gentlemen, would you mind leaving us, please? And I'm like, oh, now he is a weirdo. He's gonna fuck in this piano room.
Now they're like, fucking finally, he's had us trapped here, and this dude isn't fucking. He's not going to tip them extra. He's just like, this is a gift for you.
By the way, this is the scene like I would have played if I was one of these guys. And like, all of a sudden, like they are hooking up because they do hook up in the piano, and you're going to see me in the background just standing there. I never left as one of the workers.
I was going to say you're like, just cucking in the corner, fucking.
He's like, damn it, Randy! I told you to leave. Like,
Ryan.
So, anyways, the next Edward wakes her up and he's like, "Time to shop," and he hands her the MasterCard, and she's like, "Oh," it's like, "Now, if you have any trouble using this card, have them call the hotel." And she's like, I'm surprised you didn't buy more than one dress yesterday. It's like, wasn't as much fun as I thought it would be. Why not? They were mean to me. Mean to you? And that's when Edward's like, fuck this. And they go back to Rodeo Drive and he's just like, buy it all. And she's like, people are looking at me. He's like, they're not looking at you. They're looking at me. And Vivian's like, the stores are not nice to people. I don't like it. Stores are never nice to people. They're nice to credit cards. And he's like, stop fidgeting. Get rid of your gum. And then she spits the gum and hits like female pedestrians. He's like, I don't believe you just did that. They're in the clothing store. And Edward's like, yes. He's like, you see this young lady over here? Do you have anything in this shop as beautiful as she is? And he's like, oh, yes. And he's like, oh, no. I mean, no.
The dad from, he's an incredible actor. He's very adorable. He's the, like the most basic, would be like the dad in 10 Things I Hate About You, where,
he's a genius.
But yeah, he's adorable. He was very nice. He came to a radio station and did like, he was in town doing like a show.
Yeah, I always hear that he's like a really nice dude, that guy.
He was very, very adorable.
So it's like this kiss ass scene of like, yes, we'll help her, we'll help her with anything, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, great. she's like, that's what we really like you. We're going to spend an obscene amount of money here. It's like, sir, if I may say so, you're in the right store in the right city for that matter. Anything you see here, we can do. By the way, get ready to have some fun. Okay. And she's like, okay. And then Mary Pate, Mary Kate, Mary Frances, Tova, let's see it. And they all start like a big shopping, like montage again.
You think this is like one of the, is this like the original shopping montage that like every movie?
No, there were no. Cause there were shopping montages, even like European Vacation with Chevy Chase. There was a shopping montage. Early 80s movies, especially before this is 90, but early 80s movies especially had shopping montages. There would always
this
be
is like when the Pretty Woman song is playing. And,
Pretty woman walking down the street.
And they're doing the like typical like shopping montage where it's like somebody like brings out stuff and he's like, yes. And then somebody brings it and they're like, oh no, boo,
no,
you know, like,
boo.
No. And the next one's like, yes. Like
it's fun. This is exactly how the Old Navy experience is for me as well. It's so much all my friends that work at Old Navy are amazing like this. And the Hollister, the guy, Larry Miller, is like, Mr. Lewis, sir, Mr. Lewis, how's it going so far? And pretty well, I think. And he's like, I think we need some major sucking up. Very well, sir. You're not only handsome, but a powerful man. I could see the second you walked in here, you were someone to reckon with. He's like, Hollister, not me, her. And he's like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. How we doing, ladies? And so they have just shopped the whole day. It's so fun. And but also Edward's doing business too. He's like, the Navy contracts, blah, blah, blah. And there's like I said, this whole boring business plot keeps like interfering with the amazingness of this lady shopping. And he's like, hey, you're on your own. I have to go back to work. You look great. And she has my card. And Hollister goes, and we'll help her use it, sir. And like you said, the Pretty Woman's playing. And so then she gets all these clothes and it's really cute. And then when she's leaving, she goes back into that store that all those bitches were in yesterday that like only were like, this is too much for you. Like, and the same saleswoman goes, may I help you? And she goes, no, thank you. Hi. And the saleswoman's like, hello, do you remember me? And they're like, no, I'm sorry. I was in here yesterday. You wouldn't wait on me? And they're like, oh, yes. And she goes, big mistake. Big, huge. I have to go shopping now. She has all these bags, like $1 billion worth of clothes. And these ladies just fucking ruined it, you know?
She like walks out and like, I imagine them like looking at each other and being like, do you have any idea who that woman was? Because she looks complete, like she's wearing a hat, like her hair is up, even though although I guess it's like when she's like, do you remember me? And they're like, I'm like, you don't remember her fucking 37 teeth coming at you? Like how, like that is like probably the most recognizable thing.
So anyways, we have this other scene with more business, but the point of this scene too, Edward and Philip, Jason Alexander, is like, you know, what the hell is wrong with you this week? Are you giving Morris, the old guy, a chance to get away? And Edward's like, you know what I used to love as a kid, Phil? What? And he goes, blocks, building blocks, erector sets. And Philip's like, so what? I like Monopoly, Boardwalk, Park Place. What's the point? And Edward goes, we don't build anything, Phil. We don't make anything. We make money, Edward. We worked for a year on this deal, Jerry. It's what you said you wanted. I'm handing it to you. Yeah. And then Philip's like, Morris' jugular is exposed. It's time for the kill. Let's finish this. Call the bank. But he won't, you know, Edward really is like on the fence about doing this. So Vivian goes, how was your day, dear? And she's like naked except for like a tie and black shoes, right?
Oh yeah, right? She took the tie she told one of the store associates. She's like, I like that tie. I think Edward would like that tie. And that's when Larry Miller was like, give her your tie. And so he comes in and she just has her like feet up and she's wearing like high heels and she has her heels up on like the table of like all this I was gonna say was it room service? Yeah. And then so it's like all of a sudden drink my bra. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
Wait, why does it look like you're like tucking in something down by your button of your jeans and you're like, my bra?
No, it's my underwire, my bra.
Oh, okay. So why don't they have underwires and male underwear?
Do you need that much support?
Have you ever seen one of my huge condoms?
I was gonna say, huge condoms you find.
So anyways,
you didn't even pay to carry around, like you didn't even pay for this prop work. It's found prop work.
So what, man? Like it's still like is
You're
like
like, I'm
people didn't know,
reusing and
like
repurposing.
this guy obviously has a magnum. Like that guy must have a huge dong. Like that's called like advertise. Anyways, so all of a sudden they're in a naked bathtub scene together, and they're like,
Oh
just
yeah, they're pulling
being
this
all
stuff and
chummy.
fucking Meredith Marks, and it was disgusting.
Yeah, they're all like
that to me would be a more like, oh no, you're paying more for. I think that is the fucking cheesiest, grossest thing. Like, I don't want to fucking take a bath with you. No, like that's that's the physical, I guess, equivalent of you talking about your like some fucking sob story of like your dead dad who you had like issues with, and like that you never like emotionally.
That's what he's doing. He's saying, yeah, he's talking about his dad in the bathtub again. And then he's like, yeah, my father was the president of the third company I ever took over. I bought it and I sold it off piece by piece. And I'm like, dude, Edward, like, you're like kind of like a nicer guy than like, I mean, he comes off a kind of nice guy at the beginning. And now we realize like this guy could potentially be a psychopath.
No,
you know?
and see, if I was her, this is where I'd go underwater and not come up for as long as possible and hope that he would be gone when I came up.
Yeah. Well, anyway, she's like, I'm gonna
or just Whitney Houston myself and just be like,
oh, stop.
I had a good run.
She's like, I'm gonna wrap these big old arms and legs around you. That's what she's like. You got 88 inches of therapy around you, because she's all gangly and stuff. So now all of a sudden we go to a polo field because all these rich people play polo, and Julia Roberts are all in an amazing polo outfit. This is another outfit I remember, the brown with the polka dots, right? And Vivian recognizes somebody there.
She recognizes
she recognized the son. Sorry.
Because he's a polo player, because polo is one of the most expensive sport. It's the most expensive sport with riding. I mean,
well, no, now the most expensive sport is pickleball.
Oh, that's true. Well, I'm saying with riding.
Yeah, with riding. Yeah. Well, pickleball would be an interesting game if you did it on horses as well. So she's like, Edward reminds her not to fidget and smile. So we're watching all this fun horse shit. And Edward's like introducing her to the famous Olsen twins, Olsen sisters, which is funny because this is before Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
I know, this was before like Billboard Dad and Passport to Paris. I was like, these aren't the good Olsen sisters. Nobody cares about them. Boo.
But the girls are saying everybody tries to land Edward, and Vivian's like, oh my God, I got him like for the week. They're doing rich people shit and clapping about the horses and like doing business and all this stuff. And then Edward's like, Philip, it's like, Edward, over here, George from Seinfeld. And Edward's like, I want you to meet my new friend of mine, Vivian Ward. He's like, hi, Philip Stuckey. Vivian, this is my wife, Elizabeth. And they're meeting. And then Philip's like, I don't know. Philip's like, okay, I'll be right back. Did you notice Senator Adams over there to Richard Gere's? Like, I asked him. And they're talking about the business contracts. The business stuff just bores me to tears. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm lost here for a second. A lot of polo game here.
And they're going out and doing
stomping in the divots. Yeah. Stomping on the divots. We see David and Vivian having a conversation. The old man.
And we see like she's talking to the son, who's a polo player. And
I'll cut this part out.
And Richard Gere's like looking, and he's like getting jealous of like, oh, she's talking to another guy, like, and like very possessive of this. And I'm like,
I paid you to be with me. So Edward, Philip, George Costanza's like, what's up with that girl? How did you meet her? And he's like, oh, I was asking for directions. There she was. And Philip's like, oh, so you ran into her. That's great. Jesus. And what does she do? Does she work? And Edward's like, she's in sales. Sales. That's terrific. That's good. What does she sell? And he's like, why do you want to know? Well, just hear me out on this, okay? I've known you a long time. I see some differences in you this week, like the tie. And I'm wondering if maybe this girl isn't the difference, especially when I see her talking to David Morse. And, he's like, Philip's trying to suggest that she's like trying to screw up the deal. He's like,
that she's a spy, like she's doing espionage.
I mean, this girl appears out of nowhere, and now she's talking to a guy whose company we're trying to buy. That's a little convenient, don't you think? And he's like, don't be ridiculous. And Philip's like, Edward, how do you think that this girl hasn't attached herself to you because she's bringing information back to Morse? This is industrial espionage. And he's like, no. She's not a spy, Philip. She's a hooker. And Philip's like, oh, And I was like, yeah, she's a hooker. I picked her up on Hollywood Boulevard in your car. And Philip's like, oh, you are. And it's very George, like, you, Jerry, you are. And Edward's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, man. And Philip's like, you're the only billionaire I've ever heard who looks for a bargain basement streetwalker, And Edward's like, I'm sorry I told you. So then Philip's like goes up to Vivian. He's like, hey, having a nice time, Vivian? Yeah, I'm having a great time. Must be quite a change from Hollywood Boulevard, huh? And she stops smiling. She looks very sad. And she's like, what? Yeah, Edward told me. But don't worry, your secret is safe with me. Listen, maybe you and I could get together sometime after Edward leaves. And he touches her arm.
I was gonna say it was so hard to like. It just reminded me of like, it looked like he was about to go touch her fabric. It was like, do you remember this like episode where Jerry?
Yeah,
I missed it where he was like, I thought, because like when he reaches for her, I was like, oh, that's like all I could think of. It's so hard to watch him.
He's like, what is this? Gore-Tex? What is
this?
What is this? So she's like, yeah, I'm sure. Why not? He's like, we'll just have to do that, huh? And it is because you're like, oh, I bet George had, like, you knew, like I bet George did mess around with prostitutes on the show. We just didn't see it.
Absolutely. And I could absolutely see him trying to like talk them down in price.
Yeah.
Like,
but Edward can sense something's wrong with Vivian now. And she's like, you all right? He's like, I'm fine. Fine. That's good. 7 fines since we left the match. Could I have another word, please? Asshole. That's a word, she says, and slams the door. And he goes, I think I liked fine better. Wah, wah. And Vivian's like, you know what? Just tell me one thing. Why did you make me get all dressed up? And he's like, well, for one thing, the clothing was appropriate. No, what I mean is, if you were going to tell everybody I'm a hooker, why didn't you just let me wear my own clothes? Okay. And he goes, I did. I mean, in my own clothes, when someone like that guy Stuckey comes up to me, I can handle it. I'm prepared. And Edward's like, I'm very sorry. I'm not happy with Stuckey at all for saying or doing that, but he is my attorney. I've known him for 10 years. He thought you were some kind of industrial spy. The guy's paranoid. And she's like, what are you, my pimp now? You think you can pass me around to your friends? I'm not some little toy. And Edward's like, look, you're not my toy. Oh, I know you're not my toy. And Vivian, I'm speaking to you. Come back here. I hate to point out the obvious, but you are, in fact, a hooker and you are my employee. And she's like, look, you don't own me. I decide, okay? I say who, I say when, I say who. And Edward's like, I refuse to spend the next 3 days fighting. By the way, can we all just stop a minute and go, women, am I right? Am I right? Women.
And then like,
right?
Oh, women be shopping and complaining.
Women be complaining. He goes, I said I was sorry. I meant it. That's the end of it. And Vivian goes, I'm sorry I ever met you. I'm sorry I ever got in your stupid car. And he's like, as if you had so many more appealing options. And Vivian comes back to the bathroom door carrying a bunch of clothes. I've never had anyone make me feel as cheap as you did today. And he goes, somehow I find that very hard to believe. Oh, damn.
I laughed out loud at that. I thought that was because his delivery is perfect.
Yeah. He's like, where are you going? She's like, I want my money. I want to get out of here. And
he like takes the money and like puts all of it down and all of it's in like hundreds. I would have loved it if she had to do like what we do at the store, when you take up 100 and you put it and you take that marker through it to see if
I would have loved it if it was Al Pacino, like, take your money. And he's like, shut it, eat your money. Hooah, hooah. Vivian walks behind him like she's gonna leave. The wad of bank notes is still lying. Like, she didn't even take the money, you guys. Like, hooker with a heart of gold. She's like, I'm not taking this money. And then she's waiting for the elevator. And he's like, hey, I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared to answer questions about us. It was stupid and cruel. I didn't mean it. I don't want you to go. Will you stay the week? She's like, why? I saw you talking to David Morris. I didn't like it. We were just talking. And he chuckles. I didn't like it. And she's like, you hurt me. And he goes, yeah, don't do it again. So like they've established some boundaries here. Like, it's really wild. And now they're in bed naked again. So everything's good. And they're talking personal shit of like, first guy I ever loved was a total nothing, blah, blah, blah. And Vivian's like, so here I was, no money, no friends, no. And Edward's like, so then you chose this as your profession? And she's like, I worked at a couple fast food places, parked cars and wrestling.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, Parker Posey's
wrestling matches. I was like, is that like a seasonal gig? How?
That was a big gig back in the day. But like, this reminded me of Parker Posey and Waiting for Guffman. I worked at the DQ making the shakes, and She's like, I parked cars at wrestling and I couldn't make the rent. I was too ashamed to go home. That's when I met Kit. She was a hooker and made it sound so great. This Kit, man, she blamed it all. So one day I did it.
Honestly, Kit should be like a Mary Kay woman or something. She has charisma. She's good at multi-level marketing. She got her in, you know, like I think she has that.
Kit would be a great Duggar.
She would.
So Vivian's like, I did it and I cried the whole time, but then I got some regulars and, you know, it's not like anybody plans this. It's not your childhood dream. And Edward's like,
also she's like, and also I got lucky. The first guy was really into me crying part. So it didn't slow him down at all.
You could be so much more, he says. And Vivian goes, people put you down enough, you start to believe it. Which really goes against the thing of like being able to be proud of like, you know, like if you're proud of sex work, then you're proud of sex work. Like people put you down. Like this is kind of where it's like a little shady. And Edward goes, I think you're a very bright, very special woman. But this is what people tell me when I'm feeling bad of like, I think you're a special little boy, you know? And I'm like,
I've told you you're a very bright, special woman endlessly. And you have chosen not to believe it. So I've just given up.
Vivian's
and I just started telling you the truth. So
Vivian's like, the bad stuff's easier to believe. You ever notice that? So now,
I was like, oh, all of that is very true. Because like we remember all the bad stuff people tell us. We don't remember any of the nice stuff people tell us.
No, completely. Yeah. But there's not a movie made about our lives yet. Anyways, Philip has to do this. Edward has to do this business and Philip's all pissed off, but Edward's like, I got to go. I got tickets tonight. And that's when all of a sudden, Richard Gere's dressed in this black tuxedo and bow tie, and Vivian, this is the red dress moment. This is the red dress. And this is also the necklace where he clamps her hand, she's like, oh my God. And she touches it and he goes, ha, and she goes, ha, 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 ha. And everybody, she maniacally laughs, but it's really cute when she does it.
And I guess like, imagine it was, I didn't realize like that wasn't like put in the script. That was like an improv moment.
That was can you imagine an improv moment? Wow.
And like the fact that hers is just so charming. She's like, if that happened, I'd be like, Jesus fucking Christ, what's wrong with you? Like my reaction would, they'd be like, cut, we're gonna have to erase
I kept picturing Lisa Rinna like Edward. Are we gonna have bolognese? I've never had bolognese.
You make her sound like
Lisa Rinna. The necklace is $250,000, by the way. So he all of a sudden they're like in the limo and they're going to a PJ, a private jet, you guys. And this is another song of it's like a very jazzy song, like I could not, you are falling for you. It's like a really jazzy number. And they go and they fly to San Francisco to go to the opera, and it's very cute. And he tells her to stop fidgeting. She looks very beautiful. And it's just magic. I think every girl wants to go to an opera in San Francisco, right? Like that's the
I was thinking of that and I was like, I feel like if I did this, that if this was like that, it would just be like the old, like that would be Statler and Waldorf, the old men from the Muppets. That it would just be us in the balcony, just being.
By the way, that's another one of your dream threesomes, I think. Statler and Waldorf.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, take her, Statler, take her. I don't know where to find her. This is definitely the one we get canceled for.
Like she's not that bad. She's all bad.
I told you to play with my balls, not squeeze them. So, anyways, Edward's afraid of his like awesome seats because the tickets are like height and you know they're the best. Blah blah blah. She's like doing little funny bits with the opera glasses, and it's very moving. Like these operas, I've never been to one, but they always in movies they're always crying during them.
I've never been to one, but the most I've only seen the first time I saw it was in Moonstruck because he's really obsessed with the opera, and it's like one of my favorite, like which is like one of my favorite movies. And then this, but yeah, like I can't see that as something like like I would not enjoy, like I would enjoy it more than Cirque du Soleil, because Cirque du Soleil is something that is the only thing a guy ever invited. And I was just like, whatever the tickets are, I will pay you that amount of money to make me not have to go. Like that to me is,
I've never been to Cirque du Soleil, but I feel like I would like it. I
it's
mean,
an
maybe
absolute,
the
the
Beatles
thing is,
one.
they're absolutely amazing. Like it's like I have such respect for it. But like after 5, I'm like, oh no, like I can't see this for more than 5 minutes. Like I can't. Mm-mm.
So Edwards tells her, goes, people's reactions to opera the first time they see it is very dramatic. They either love it or they hate it. If they love it, they'll always love it. If they don't, they may learn to appreciate it, but it will never become part of their soul, which is what kind of manipulative bullshit is that? So now he's like, now she feels like she has to say she likes it because he's like, makes it sound like it's so awesome, you know?
It's like such a like crazy intense kind of like guess. And it's, you know, like there are some movies like the test movies. It's like when you're with somebody and you're like, it's something that you really love and you're like, oh, I want to show this to you for the first time. And then the entire time, like you're like you keep looking at them to see if like they're watching it or if they're like enjoying it. Like,
yeah.
And like, so the entire time he just keeps like looking over like at her to see if like how she's like, to gauge her reaction.
Did you used to do that with the TV show Greek? Where you're like, oh, do you like this too?
And like, it was way above his head. Like he did not get
You're like, stop looking at me and look at Greek.
Yeah, I'm playing Peter Possum. Pretend I'm dead. I just want to watch Greek. I just want to listen to like.
Anyways, she's crying during this, and then afterwards this lady is like, did you enjoy the opera, dear? And she's like, oh, it was so good I almost peed my pants. That was another big line back in the day. I remember my mom thought that was really hysterical. And then the lady's like, what? And Edward's like, she said she liked it better than Pirates of Penzance. And Doris is like, oh, okay. So that was a really cute scene. Now we're back at the Beverly Wilshire, and they're playing chess. Now all of a sudden Vivian can play chess. It's like a whole thing.
Do you know, like, I feel like, why is that? Like, I feel like that's in so many like romantic movies and like of them playing chess, and it's like in Twilight, and it's like, I feel like everyone else like how to play. Do you know how to play chess?
I don't. I wanted to learn because Howard Stern had a whole thing with chess for a while. And I was like, well, if he's enjoying this, I'd like to enjoy it. Somebody tried to explain it to me when I was a kid, and my mind just didn't grasp onto it. And I think I had a hang up that I wasn't smart enough for it. So I never learned, but I would I would still try if somebody would explain it to me, you know?
I think you could be the next Bobby Fischer.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, that's the other thing too, is that, you're like, you're never going to be a chess champ at this point. It's like same reason I'm not going to be an astronaut at this point. Like, I don't think they would really let me do it. I'll never play in the NBA.
Well, not now. You have a way better chance now. You have the best chance of being an astronaut now. Like now it's like you, that to me, I would truly, if somebody was like, would you, like, you could go up in space for a year, or you could kill yourself. I've been like, like the gun, you'd already hear a bang. Like that to me is a nice, like that to me. Oh no, absolutely.
When I was as a kid, this is surprised. I was a big fan of NASA, and I bought some of like the frozen, like the ice cream that the astronauts would eat. The thing that I was all into that astronaut shit. But I was a big Star Trek head and stuff, and so I was really into space. Now I really don't give a shit.
The only time I was like, when they play the commercials on like Nickelodeon or Disney Channel, like for Space Camp, and it would like look so like, oh, like I want to do that, but it would just only be in like those,
There's this moment I was remembering the other day when I was a kid in Kansas, and it was like, had to have been like 4th or 5th grade, and I was obsessed with Star Trek, and there was like this Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, and I just really liked that. Like I liked that movie, and it was on video, and because I was like, for some reason, I was like, Mom, Christmas morning, can we watch Star Trek 3 while we open gifts? I was like, because I was like, oh, what could be cooler than watching Star Trek 3 while you open gifts from Santa? Like, I was like, literally, I was like, and thank God she wouldn't.
What did they say? Were they just like,
she was like, Ryan, we can't have you jizzing everywhere like this. Like, it's not going to be. No, she was like, no, we do not have the TV on when we open gifts. And I was like, now I understand it. But at the time, I ran away for a year at that point. So anyways, they come back and they're playing. He's like, take the day off. And he's like, not work? And he goes, I do own the company. So he does take the day off work. And he goes like touches some grass with his feet with her.
Oh yeah,
And
does some like grounding because like when you're supposed to like take off your shoes and put your feet in the. Remember, like Yolanda would do this, and she was telling Brandy, like how important it was. And then it's just like I also like picnics are another thing that's in like movies and TV shows where it's like it looks great on there, but it's like, have you ever trying to fucking trying to get comfortable while being on the ground? Like, no, picnics are a nightmare. Like anytime, like just I just think it's so fucking overrated and it's so uncomfortable. And then it's like, then they're laying together and he's like reading a book. Like he's reading a book, like he's reading out loud to her. And then I saw it, it's like she's reading Shakespeare. And I was like, oh God. So they're doing like Shakespeare in the park.
Yeah. So he's like kind of doing work on a phone while like they're doing the park thing and they have a snap dog. And then she's like, hey, can we stop by the Blue Banana and see my roommate, Kit?
Oh, and she takes his phone and like shuts it off of like, no more work. And then that's when he's reading, although it's like, the guy pulled out like Shakespeare. I'd been like, oh no. But I guess it would also be like, maybe he just like brought out, he's like, I brought a book for us to read. And he pulls out the Turner Diaries and he's like, all right, page one.
Jeez. Oh my God.
Nobody even knows what we're talking about, so it's fine.
No, they do. So she goes into the Blue Banana and pops the bartenders there and like, where's Kid? Here's my number for the rest of the week. Have her call me or come by. And the lyric is fame, what you like it, the David Bowie song. And Vivian's like, what's going on in there? And Edward's like, I don't know. You left and all of a sudden I'm in the middle of West Side Story and it's Carlos in a fight. Like, I think you owe me some money, baby. And what's going on? Yeah. He's like, now I hear you got yourself a new job to Vivian. And Vivian's like, let's just leave. You ain't going no place. And Edward's like, hey. And Carlos is like, you're out of your neighborhood, homeboy. This ain't no Beverly Hills. And Edward's like, I don't believe this. He has this knife coming out of his skateboard. Is he going to stab me? What are you going to do? You're going to strangle me with a slinky? And the girl giggles again. Carlos turns towards her and Carlos is like, shut up. And Edward's like, all right, okay, this is what's happening. You believe that this person owes you money, right? $200. That's right. Why? Because this is my block. And Edward's like, his block? And Vivian's like, he's a drug dealer. It has to do with Kit. Let's just go, Edward. And then Carlos is like, Edward, so how's it feel like to be a trick? And Edward's like, I'm not a trick. This is a trick. And he points his hands towards Daryl. And Edward's like, Daryl, left pocket. Oh, Daryl's the driver. And there's a shot of Daryl and reveals a holster with a gun inside. And Edward's like, isn't that incredible? And he does have a permit. Thank you, gentlemen. It's like I
don't remember this scene at all.
Maybe it's not. Maybe this is just in the script because I don't remember this scene either.
I don't remember this scene.
I'm reading directly off this. Well, it's in the, must have been one of the cut scenes that we were talking about earlier.
I'm like, as you were describing this, and I was like, I don't remember this fucking at all. Okay, no, I think that this is a cut scene. Because they just went, because it's like them in the park and then them reading, and then the next thing I have is like they're in the hotel and he's finally sleeping because like she's finally been able to like help him sleep.
She goes, I love you
because he's sleeping, and then she like crawls up on the bed and like kisses him while he's like asleep, and he like wakes up like mid kiss, which is like also would probably been like, I know if like I had problems sleeping, I never went to, and then I finally like felt comfortable enough to sleep, and I woke up and somebody was like kissing him, then like I will never sleep for like the next 2 years. Like this is like why I don't, it's because like it's just a nightmare of like waking up.
I think, and he said he doesn't kiss on the lips, so I think that's a violation of Richard Gere's personal space.
It's like, I mean, it's like Jenny when she climbs on Forrest in the middle of the night, and it's like if you.
What are you doing, Johnny?
Yeah. If you watch that movie, you just like rewind it where you can like watch the whole thing and rewind, then it would just be an opposite movie of like a woman with HIV, taking like just crawling into the bed of a guy and having sex with him.
Jenny, you're all slippery down there, Jenny. What's going on? Oh, sorry. Give me a little Forrest. Anyways, the next day, like she's like, there, it's like the last day. And Edward's like, what do you see happening between us? And she's like, I don't know. When I was a little girl, my mama used to lock me in the attic when I was bad, which was pretty often. And I would pretend I was a princess trapped in a tower by a wicked queen. And then suddenly this knight on a white horse with these colors flying would have, charging up and draw his sword, and I would wave, and he would climb up the tower and rescue me. But never in all the time that I had this dream did the knight say to me, come on, baby, I'll put you up in a great condo. Because that's what Edward wants to do. And
yeah, she had like the dream offer where he was like, I like to see you again. I have to go to New York, but I'll be coming back, regularly. And I've arranged for an apartment for you and a driver and a car, and you'd have money to go shopping and do whatever you want. You wouldn't have to do. And she's just so offended that she's just like, oh, well, this isn't what I want. Well, this is.
But you get it. She wants the whole package. She wants the relationship.
Like, are you? Then that's when I seriously think that she has brain damage, possibly brought on by syphilis, because you are fucking insane. Like when she's like, oh, you think this would be a good case scenario for a girl like me? I'm like, that's a good case scenario for fucking anyone. Are you kidding me? I'll fucking put a gerbil at my own ass for me to have even half of this.
If the movie ends up going Julia Roberts' way, but if it didn't, 10 years later, she'd be like, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
Like literally, what the fuck did I do? It would have been like fucking Requiem for a Dream, where it's like, like the end of that movie, which is crazy. Anyways. So and they're also, like,
what trailers have attics? Or like, from all the trailers I've seen, I have not seen one with attics, with an attic, but who?
Anyways, Philip calls him and he's like, sorry, I have to do business. And Philip's like, we got him. All you have to do is this move, da-da-da. And he's like, hey, I have to go now. I want you to understand. I heard everything you said, Philip. This is all I'm capable of right now. Oh, no, sorry. He's saying that to Julia Roberts. Listen, I have to go now for work, but I want you to understand, I heard everything you said. This is all I'm capable of right now. It's a very big step for me. So Edward is trying to show his boundaries in a relationship, but she's like, I know.
Like being so vulnerable of like, this is really big for me. Like, and he's being completely honest with you and offering you all of this, like the most romantic thing possible. And he's like opened up to you. And he's like, this is really big for me. This is like the most. And she's like, oh, huh.
And she goes, I know it's a really good offer for a girl like me. And Edward goes, I've never treated you like a prostitute. And then he walks to the front door, and then Vivian whispers, you just did.
I'm just like, no, this is when I'm just like, nope, you should fall off the fucking balcony. Cause no, you don't deserve this.
So anyways, Kit finds her, they're at the swimming pool, blah, blah, blah. And like, Vivian's like, listen, I've been calling you. And she's like, yeah, I know. They told me at the Banana, you were looking for me. You were supposed to come by on Tuesday. I left the money at the desk for you. And Kit's like, I was hiding out from Carlos. Well, if you picked up the money, you wouldn't have to. And she's like, hey, I was busy. I had a life, Nino got beat up. We had to visit him in the hospital. Rachel got arrested. It's a mess out there. Anyway, I got the money. Thank you very much for saving my ass. Now Carlos can get off it. And, anyways, they're saying, oh, you look so good now. This is crazy. And Vivian's like, well, thanks, but it's easy to clean up when you got money. And Kit's like, yeah, so when does he leave? Tomorrow. You gonna keep the clothes? Yeah. Edward asked if I wanted to see him again, but I think definitely no. I mean, it's just another week, right? And Kit's like, definitely no? She's like, yeah. And then she looks sad about it. And Kit's like, oh no, you fell in love with him. And she's like, no, Kit, please stop it. You've fallen in love with him. Kit, did you kiss him on the mouth? And she's like, yeah, I did. You kissed him on the mouth. I did. It was nice. You fall in love with him and you kiss him on the mouth. Did I not teach you anything? Did you kiss his butthole? Did you do it? She's like, yeah, of course I kissed his. No. Vivian's like, look, I'm not stupid. Okay. I'm not in love with him. I like him. You like him? Yeah, you definitely like him. Well, he's not a bum. He's a rich, classy guy. And Vivian's like, who's going to break my heart? Right. She's like, oh no, come on. You don't know that. Hey, he asked you, right? Maybe you guys could get a house together, like buy some diamonds and a horse. I don't know. It could work. It happens. When does it happen, Kit? When does it really happen? Who does it really work out for? Did it work out for Skinny Marie or Rachel? Those are dead prostitutes, by the way. And Kit's like, those were a very specific cases of crackheads. I just want to know who it works out for. You give me one example of someone that we know that it's happened for. But by the way, blah, blah, blah. And we're at the business place the next day.
It's just like, baby, like you can have your heart broken by a rich guy as easily as you can have your heart broken by a poor guy. And statistically, you're probably going to have your heart broken by a poor guy way more than a rich guy. So take this one, like it was so frustrating to watch.
So we're now on this business scene, the last business scene of the film, thank God. And Edward's like, yo, I'm gonna buy your company, but I'm not gonna break it up. We're gonna build things together. And this really pisses off Jason Alexander of like, what? What's going on? Like, what's going on with this company? I was like, I'm gonna take it back and I'm gonna build like Jerry, what? Yeah. So,
he's like, you're selling off this latex company. I'm a latex salesman. What am I going to do? We're breaking up.
I'm an architect. I'm an architect. Yeah. She goes, I no longer wish to buy your company and take it apart, but I don't want anyone else to either. And it's still extremely vulnerable. So I find myself in unfamiliar territory. I want to help you. Anyways, I'm trying to skip ahead to the Philip, because Philip is like livid with this whole thing, Jason Alexander. And Philip's like, Edward, please, what is this all about, huh? And Edward slaps him on the arm, and Edward's like, it's all yours, Phil. Finish it up. And Philip's like, hold it. These aren't signed. Could someone please tell me what the fuck is going on here? And we see Edward with a big smile on his face walking away with a briefcase. And the old guy's like, Mr. Lewis and I are going to build ships together. And great big ships. And anyways, Edward he tells Daryl, the driver, is like, you know what? I think I'm going to go for a walk. Just stay here for a while. I'll be back. He's walking, like seeing the sights, thinking about his woman, Vivian, that taught him about grass and parks and all this shit. And we see all of a sudden, you guys, we see Philip, like she opens the door and Philip's there. It's not Edward, it's Philip. And Philip's like, well, hello again. I'm looking for Edward. And she's like, Edward's not here. I thought he was with you. No, Edward is definitely not with me. And if Edward were with me, when Edward was with me, he didn't blow off billion-dollar deals. I think that's Edward's with you. That's what I think. Mind if I have a drink? And he pours whiskey in a glass. And she's like, no, thank you. And he's like, well, I'll just wait. And Vivian's like, Edward will be back soon any minute. He'll be home. He's like, this is not home. This is a hotel room. And you are not the little woman. You're a hooker. Maybe you're a very good hooker, And she puts her notebook on the low table. Maybe if I do you, then I wouldn't care about losing $1 million, because I have to be very honest with you right now, Vivian, because now I really do care. I really do. And right now I'm really pissed, Right now I'm just freaking out. So maybe if I screw you, huh? And he puts his hand between Julia Roberts' leg and she moves away and take you to the opera, that I could be a happy guy, just like Edward. And he keeps on trying to fondle her. And she's like, hey, get off me. And they start fighting, and Philip's like, God damn it, ow. And he slaps her face very hard. She falls down on the floor. She's like, ow. And he's like, come on, I'll pay for it. She's like, get off me. How much is it? $20, $30? And then she goes into like, no, it's $100, like $800 for the night. No, it's like very, And she's like, 50, you're a $50 whore, Vivian. And Philip all of a sudden walks in, Edward walks in and is like, what the fuck are you doing? And Philip and Edward are fighting.
Richard Gere pulls him off, because like Jason Alexander is now like on top of Julia Roberts, like trying, and Richard Gere like pulls him off him and punches him and like throws him. I thought Richard Gere could have done a lot more here, because after he punches Jason Alexander, Richard Gere like literally looks at his hand and he's like, oh, he looks at his hand like, no. I'm just like, no. Like, I think one of the sexiest scenes ever in any movie is when Sonny Corleone in Godfather, when he beats the shit out of his sister's husband. Like,
yeah.
I think that to me is like, that to me is like one of the like sexiest scenes ever. And like a woman's not even in it. It's just like him beating somebody up. But like being like really protective, and like all like Richard Gere does is like throw a punch and like shove him. He's like, get out of here. I'm like, oh, really?
Philip is like, look, she's a whore, man. She's a goddamn. And then Edward hits him in the face, and Philip falls down on the floor, and he's like, and Edward's like, damn, shit, goddamn. He throws like Philip's briefcase away, and Philip's like, I think you broke my nose. Like, get out of here. And Philip's like, what is wrong with you? Come on, Edward. I gave you 10 years. I devoted my whole life to you. And he's like, that's bullshit. This is such bullshit. It's the kill you love, not me. I made you a very rich man doing exactly what you love. Now get out of here. Get out. And then it goes, bow, ba-dow, bow, ba-dow, bow, bow, like the Seinfeld music.
I was gonna say, then the door opens up, but it's Kramer, like
yeah.
sliding.
Yeah. And anyway, so now we cut. She's putting ice on Julia Roberts' face, and Vivian's like, "Why do you guys always know how to hit a woman right across the cheek?" Which is like a really dark comment. And
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, I'll honestly, all the times I've seen Ryan hit a woman, he totally messed it up.
And Edward goes, "Not all guys hit." And Vivian's like, "I heard about what you did with the Morse with the ships." And Edward goes, "That was a business decision." And Vivian goes, "It was good." And he goes, "It felt good." And she's like, "I got to get going." And he's like, "Yeah, I noticed you packed. Why are you there'll now?" And he goes, "Edward, there'll always be some guy, even some friend of yours, thinking he can treat me like Stucky, thinking that it's allowed. What are you going to do? You're going to beat up everybody?" And he goes, "That's not why you're leaving." And she goes, "Look, you made me a really nice offer. And a few months ago, no problem. But now everything is different and you've changed that and you can't change back. I want more." And he goes, "I know about wanting more. I invented the concept. The question is how much more?" And she goes, "I want the fairy tale." And he goes, "Impossible relationships." And he goes, "My special gift is impossible relationships." And Edward gives the money to Vivian and he goes, "Thank you." And she goes, "You're welcome." She puts the money in the pocket of her jacket. He's holding a business card in his hand. And he goes, "If you ever need anything, dental floss, whatever, you give me a call." And she goes, "I had a good time." And he goes, "Me too." Are you crying?
No, I was
Annabelle?
no,
She started rubbing her eyes. She's like, "Oh my God." And she leaves, but she leaves a new person. She leaves reborn, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And Edward goes, stay the night with me. And not because I'm paying you, but because you want to." She's like, "I can't." And he's like, "Goodbye." And Vivian goes, "I think you have a lot of special gifts." And he's like all surly. He's like, "Oh." And then she says goodbye to Barney.
and I was like,
she's
no,
like,
then end up with him. Like, he's never treated you like I left, like, he's a hotel manager. You could still have the drink. You could have room service whenever you want.
Well, yeah. And Vivian goes, "I wanted to say goodbye, Barney." And he's like, "Well, then I gather you're not accompanying Mr. Lewis to New York." And she goes, "Come on, Barney, you and me, we live in the real world most of the time." Like Barney's like, "Yo, I'm not a hooker, dude."
Yeah.
Like, Barney's like, "What? Like, what do you mean? I'm literally the manager of this hotel. What are you talking about?" Like, you got a heart of gold, but like there is a difference. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Barney goes, "Have you arranged for transportation?" He's like, "I'm going to call a cab." And he's like, "Allow me." And it's kind of an emotional moment. And Barney's like, "Daryl, yes, sir. Please take Miss Vivian anywhere she wishes to go." And he goes, "It's been a pleasure knowing you. Come and visit us again in some time," which is nice because at the beginning she's like, "You'll never visit this hotel again after this stay." So now it's like she can come do tricks here anytime she wants. And this is when the fucking song "It Must Have Been Love" by Roxette plays. Like, "It must have been love, but it's over now." And this was when I was in the movie theater with in seventh grade with the girl like, and it's like, "Lay whisper on my pillow, leave the winter on the ground. I wake up lonely, the silence in the bedroom all around." And like, she's like in the like just thinking thoughts, as you do. And Edward goes inside the penthouse we see and pans along the wall and dissolve. Like there's like some dissolves happening. And Edward comes out on the terrace and he's fully dressed in an elegant gray suit. The camera follows Edward. We hear some thunder rumbling in the distance. Edward moves to wow, the script is amazing. He's holding a jewel case in his hand. And it's the one with Vivian's necklace inside. And we realize the necklace is gone. She's stolen it. And no, wouldn't that be great? And he's like, "She got me. That 2-bit hooker got me." Anyways, so she's now hanging out with Kit. They're all she's all bummed. And they're like, Vivian gives Kit the money that he gave her. And she's like, "What's this?" And Vivian's like, "It's part of the Edward Lewis Scholarship Fund. We think you got a lot of potential, Kit DeLuca." And she's like, "You do? You think I got potential?" And Vivian's like, "Yeah, don't let anybody tell you different, okay?" "Okay." And she's like, "Take care of you."
Like, oh no, maybe you should have sent her this in like installments. You're giving her all the money up front.
I know. I feel like that's just gonna go straight
putting that up her nose or in her arm. And no.
So anyways, they hug. And so now Barney's like, "Mr. Lewis." And Edward's like, "You don't have any messages for me, do you?" And he's like, "No, I'm afraid not, sir," because he wants a message from Julia Roberts. And Edward's like, "I'll need a car for the airport also." And Barney's like, "Of course, Daryl will take you wherever you need to go. Daryl, the limousine's out front, please." And Daryl's like, "Yes, sir." And Edward goes, "One last thing." And Barney goes, "Yes. If you could possibly return this to Fred's for me, please." "Yes, of course." And it's the necklace. And he opens it, and Barney goes, "It must be difficult to let go of something so beautiful. But, it's about the necklace, but it's
Oh.
also about Julia Roberts." And Barney goes, "Daryl also drove Miss Vivian home yesterday." And Edward goes, "Thank you, Mr. Thompson." And he's in the limousine, and we have that song like, and Kit is now talking to some new lady to like move in, of like, "Yo, so now Julia Roberts isn't gonna live with Kit anymore." And Edward all of a sudden like stops, and he gets flowers.
It feels
And
like fucking cheap ass bodega flowers. And I'm like,
so we didn't have time to go to a fancy place, obviously. But anyways, Vivian's like, like getting ready to move, like move on, doing something. And we hear the music from the opera La Traviata all of a sudden playing. And then, all of a sudden we see Edward out of his limo with these flowers, the roof of the limousine, this thing is blaring. And he gets shot immediately, like 2 times, and he just dies right immediately. And it's so sad. And she sees it. And no, it's Carlos. It's Carlos, the drug dealer from the other night. And
I told you this was my turf.
And he goes, "Vivian!" And he's like, "A night, and he's like, "Vivian!" And Vivian leaves the window and is like, and she's like, "Princess Vivian, come down." And Vivian walks to the window and is like, "Oh my God, blah, blah, blah." And there's a shot of Edward standing on the sidewalk looking up, and he's like, "Had to be on the top floor, right?" And she goes, "It's the best." And he goes, "All right, I'm coming up." Yeah, I'm coming up. And like, he's got the umbrella and those flowers, and he's like doing the little stairs, the emergency stairs. And it's like, he's facing his fear of heights for love finally. Like, they jammed this in there too. And it's actually really, really cool. And then Edward gets to her, and he's like, "So what happened after he climbed up the tower and rescued her?" And Vivian goes, "She rescues him right back." And this is when they tongue kiss. And they tongue kiss so intensely, and there's just sweat and slobber. And no, it's like a really pretty thing. And then guess what, you guys? Welcome to Hollywood. What's your dream? Everybody comes here. This is Hollywood, the land of dreams. Some dreams come true, some don't, but keep on dreaming. This is Hollywood. Always time to dream, so keep on dreaming. And then it's Pretty Woman, and that's the end of the movie. Wow, Annabelle, we only did that in 3 hours and 10 minutes instead of our normal.
I think that's pretty good.
Hours. Yeah, it's pretty good. So overall, I think that movie still gets me. What do you feel about it?
It was really good. It was like way better than I thought it would be. And it was like way more romantic and endearing. Like, she is a delight. Like, the thing is,
I mean, this cemented
so perfect
her like
in that role. Like,
Richard
I
Gere,
see her why she was nominated.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Gere was already a movie star, and she was on her way to becoming one, but this shot her into the stratosphere. And I mean, just really like this kind of left. I mean, Julia Roberts will always be a star because of this movie alone. I mean, she has tons of other hits and stuff like that, like obviously My Best Friend's Wedding and blah, blah, blah. But that movie will go down in history as kind of the movie that created Julia Roberts, I think, in a lot of ways. Steel Magnolias is great too, but this was a hit. What's that?
I've never seen it.
Oh my God. Drink your juice, Shelby. Don't talk about me like I'm not here, mama. Drink your juice, Shelby. Yeah, like, because she's, oh man, it's so good. That's another good Steel Magnolias.
Should I read? Is that worth reading a movie spoiler about it?
I don't know if it would have the same impact of reading it's like the performances in Steel Magnolias, because you got Dolly Parton, who kills it. You got Sally Field. You got the dude with the mustache that was in Top Gun. He was like the dad. You got, I mean, it's such a great cast of people in Steel Magnolias, but this was a great cast as well. This made me this legitimately made me want to get a hooker.
Oh, this legitimately made me want to be a hooker.
When I was a kid, I was like, and there wasn't really anything going around in Kansas in terms of like that kind of stuff when I was in 7th grade, but it really, I've never done any, I've never gotten a lady of the night,
Well, it's like before everyone hated Charlie Sheen, and like when he was like famously like this before like the tiger blood and him like going on like the manic thing. where he would like be like famous for being with hookers, and everyone was like, there's like that famous interview where they're like, you're a rich, famous like Hollywood stars, like, and like, why, you don't need hookers, why do you pay for hookers? And he's like, I don't pay for hookers to come, I pay for them to leave. And I was like,
Charlie Sheen was kind of like the updated insane version of Richard Gere. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, he was, I mean, because, and it was just like, it makes sense of like, okay, like, so that way you don't have like any of like the person, like the girl thinking that there is like more to it than it is. It's just like, it's a service. And the thing is, it's just, and like, that's what I liked about like the Gigolo show of just like, yeah, like, of like not having to go out and like have to wait of like going out and like getting ready to see if like a guy like will hit on you, and then going home, but then like him being like an awful hookup or whatever. And then it's just like, you just like know that you're paying for this guy to come over, and that then they'll leave. And like, he's not going to text you back. It's not like the having to like meet a guy and then like, oh, I wonder if he's going to text me back, which you still probably won't. But at least the Gigolos guys, that he won't. So you're not like waiting for that.
And that's Annabelle's version of Pretty Woman.
No, I think this is right. No, I think that this was like the most romantic movie we've ever watched. This was my favorite movie we've done.
Yeah. By the way, I think this is a romantic movie. This is the week of quote unquote love. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Probably we'll be doing the next movie, I would imagine, on Annabelle's podcast. So if you have movies that you want us to recap, make sure you let me or her know. Probably let her know. I'm not great with communication, but let her know, or let the Facebook group know, or whatever. And also remember, go check Annabelle's podcast at Adderall and Compliments. What else is going on that we can support you with?
Oh, no, just that would be awesome. And that I'm so happy that they're so nice about this and letting me do it. And yeah, these are just always my favorite.
Wait, who's nice enough at you and letting you do it? What do you mean?
No, that the baddies are always super nice about.
Oh, they love it. Yeah, no, that's
about it. And so that just makes me so happy. And so, yeah, that, I'm just happy that.
And how drunk are you? Because I did see you partaking during the recording. Are you fully tipsy?
No, I was gonna see if I was like, I wonder if when I said, I'm like, I wonder if this brings out the taste of Josie Cuervo, and I was like, oh, I can't do it. No, I only had my tumbler. No, I only had like one Marisol Patton. I only had my tumbler.
Marisol Patton literally drinks like rocket fuel. So
yeah, no. Do I sound drunk?
No, I just didn't know if you were drunk. I don't know what.
Oh no.
I didn't know. I just didn't know if you were, because I have not drank the entire 3 hours, so I didn't know if you were, and I wasn't.
No, but you never drink when we record. I always drink.
I used to drink a lot during the first like year and a half of the show, like just in regular shows. I would, but now I can't. I'm too old. Like it just, in fact, I had 2 drinks the other night on Thursday night during that show I did, and I felt it all of yesterday. It was like wild. I was like, oh my God, this is so sad. Yeah, it was really sad. I didn't have strong drinks either. That was like, I had a cider and then a shot of tequila. And I was like, that messed. I mean, I don't know. I think it was also the nerves and stuff I had, but I just had I had to wake up super early too for more work. And that I think that just affected me. So I don't know, just getting old. So sad. Anyways, but you guys aren't getting old. You're young, you're beautiful, and you are the loves of our lives. So please,
yes,
I hope you're having a great week.
Guys have a great Valentine's Day. And if you're single, just remember that's absolutely as good as being in a relation. And then you don't have to pretend to be happy about like a shitty gift. And so it's honestly, so you're not missing out on anything.
And wear a condom and don't kiss on the mouth.
Exactly.
That's what Bye, guys.
Bye.